Consider this argument. All men are cats. John is a man, therefore John is a cat. Is this argument valid or invalid? Consider another argument. Pakistanis are religious. Jahazeb is a Pakistani, therefore Jahazeb is religious. Is this argument valid or invalid? We will come back to the validity or otherwise of these two arguments in a while. For now, we will define logical fallacy as an argument that seems valid but is actually invalid. An argument is valid if the conclusion follows necessarily from the premises. That is to say, if the premises are true, the conclusion must be true as well. Consider a simple valid argument. All men are animals. John is a man, therefore John is an animal. Consider another argument. All men are cats. John is a man. John is a cat. This argument is valid argument. Although we know that men are not cats, therefore John, being a man, cannot be a cat. But if we assume that all men are cats and John is a man, then the necessary conclusion that we will draw will be that John is a cat. A valid argument, therefore, may comprise one or more premises that are not true, as was the case in the past example. Take another argument. USA is a democracy and a developed economy. UK is a democracy and a developed economy, and Germany is a democracy and a developed economy. Therefore, all democracies are developed economies. This argument is an invalid argument because on the basis of a few instances, we cannot conclude that all democracies are developed economies. For example, India is a democracy which is not a developed economy. Hence, an invalid argument may comprise one or more premises that are true, as was the case in the last example. Validity or invalidity is a characteristic of arguments or reasoning, while truth is an attribute of propositions or statements, and it is statements or proposition that constitute premises or conclusion of an argument. There are many fallacies, of which 8 are most commonly occurring fallacies and which we will be explaining in this video. You are watching Wisdom of Life. The first fallacy is begging the question. In this fallacy, you assume to be true what you are supposed to prove. Take the argument God exists because the Bible says it so. This argument is not valid, it's invalid because you cannot infer the existence of God from the Bible. Likewise, take the argument democracy is the best form of government because it is the government of the people. Now this argument is also invalid. Why? Because democracy means the government of the people. So if we read this argument, it will be like this. Government of the people is the best form of government because it is the government of the people. Therefore, in the fallacy of begging the question, the conclusion is implicitly contained in the premise. And hence, this type of fallacy is also called circular reasoning. A classic example is God exists because the Bible says it so, and Bible is true because it is the word of the Almighty. The second fallacy is that of decomposition. Assuming what is true of a group as a whole is also true of each of its members. Now, the example that we gave in the beginning, Pakistanis are religious, Jahazeb is a Pakistani, therefore Jahazeb is religious. Now this argument is invalid because it commits the fallacies of decomposition. The fact that Pakistanis are religious doesn't mean that each and every Pakistani is a religious. Likewise, another argument, similar argument, Americans are Democrat, Trump is an American, therefore Trump is Democrat. The converse of the fallacy of decomposition is the fallacy of composition. Here we assume what is true of part of something is also true of the whole. Take the example. Since every human being dies, humanity will also perish one day. So here we draw a conclusion from a particular case, that is a human being dies, to the death of the humanity itself, which has no logical connection. The third fallacy is that of bandwagon. A view is believed to be correct or an action is believed to be legitimate because it is supported or done by a great many people. Example, because politicians in droves are joining the Justice Party, you must also join it. Another example, many showbiz stars are using a particular shampoo brand, therefore it must be good. Now, the showbiz stars may be using a particular shampoo brand mainly to the extent of appearing in an advertisement or because they have got money or fee from the manufacturers, but doesn't mean that the shampoo is good for your hair. A very good example of bandwagon fallacy was set by Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif during the recent escalation of tensions between India and Pakistan. When a TV journalist asked him that Pakistan claims that it downed 5 Rafale aircraft of India, where is the evidence? The minister replied, well, it's everywhere on social media. The fourth fallacy is that of post hoc. Asserting something to be the cause or effect of something else where no causal relationship exists. For example, to argue that whenever a particular political party comes into power, the country is jolted by a severe earthquake. Now, again, there is no causal connection between the induction of one political party into power and the country being hit by severe earthquake. So it may be mere coincidence. So post hoc fallacy generally takes coincidence for causation. If two events occur in quick succession or occur together, it doesn't mean that they are causally connected. Post hoc fallacy is the basis of most of our superstitions. In many parts of the world, such as Pakistan and India, it is believed that if a black cat crosses your way, you must come back because it is a bad omen. Conversely, amulets are considered a good omen, and if someone wears or uses those amulets, they can always be successful. The fifth fallacy is ad hominem. Here, you try to rebut an argument by attacking not the conclusion but the person who is asserting it. This fallacy takes two forms. One, disparaging the opponent's character or intelligence. For example, it is argued that proposals are bad because they come from radicals. The second form of this fallacy is appealing to the opponent's circumstances. For example, if you argue that a clergyman must accept a conclusion as its denial will run counter to the scriptures, you are committing the fallacy of ad hominem. The sixth fallacy is complex question, and this fallacy is generally used in courts. Here, you assume the truth of a conclusion which is buried in the question. For example, take the question, why is the private sector more efficient than the public sector? So here we are assuming without proving that the private sector is more efficient than the public sector. Likewise, the question why corrupt people return to parliament again and again. Here also we are assuming that the people who get elected to parliament are corrupt. The seventh fallacy is hasty generalization. Here you draw a conclusion or make sweeping statement on the basis of only a few instances. For example, the example that we earlier gave of the relationship between democracies and development. So this is a fallacy of hasty generalization. Some other examples are Muslims are fundamentalists, our government is the best ever government in the country, and politicians are a corrupt breed. Hasty generalization is the basis of stereotyping. We attribute certain characteristics with all the members of particular races, ethnicities, religions, and nationalities without any causal connection between the two. The eighth fallacy is that of equivocation. Here we use a key term or phrase two or more times in an argument on each occasion with a different meaning. Take the example. The first premise, every law has a lawgiver. The second premise, there are laws in nature. So conclusion, therefore there must be a cosmic lawgiver, or the existence of God is proved. Now the problem with this argument is that in the first premise, the word law has been used in the law made by some human being, man-made law, enacted by legislature generally, while in the second premise, it is used in a different way. The laws of nature actually are the observed uniformities in nature, and they are fundamentally different from the man-made law. So on the basis of these two meanings, double meaning, if we draw the conclusion that there must be a cosmic lawgiver, then it will be a fallacy of equivocation. I trust you like this video. If that is the case, please subscribe to my channel Wisdom of Life. Thanks for watching.